Welcome to Spenelli Speaks. If you're new here, I hope you stick around and hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you see when my videos are posted. If you remember, if you've been here before that is, I am doing a reorganizing my bookshelves, and we are currently into part 6 of that series. And I paused the last video because it was getting quite long, so we are going to start from where we left off, which was in the half section of this shelf here. And as you can see, these shelves are really dusty, and that's terrible. I should really take better care of my bookshelves. But the purpose of me going through all of these shelves and reorganizing is I'm actually making more room in my guest room for all of my books. So going through these and getting them organized and getting them all together is going to help me put them all together on one big wall so that I have a better space to do all of my videos. So we'll jump right in, and we left off, the last book we were talking about was the Brooklyn Follies. And so we're just going to keep on going here. I have Fried Green Tomatoes by Fanny Flagg, and this book I own. I found this at a library, or excuse me, a church that was selling books to raise money for their church. I got it for $1. I did not know it was a book. I love the movie, Tawanda, I love it. So I saw the book and just knew I had to have it. So I would love to read this one. I'm sure it probably is just so good because I love the movie. So that's going to go into a to be read pile. Then I have Margaret Atwood's The Blind Assassin. I have not read this, and the reason why I had bought this book was when I went to go and see Margaret Atwood, I thought that we were going to be able to get books signed, and we ended up not getting them signed. And I had to buy this book because I thought I had still had my copy of Oryx and Crake from when I read it in school, and I couldn't find it. So I must have sold it back for the money. At the time you could sell back your books from school, and because I didn't like that book, I think I ended up probably selling it back to the school bookstore. So I ended up buying this, so I did not read it, but my friend Beth Ann, who went with me, who is a big Margaret Atwood fan, she said that this is one of the better ones of Margaret Atwood. So I would like to read this. It's kind of a hefty one, and the words inside are really, really tiny. But this book, it says, The Blind Assassin opens with these simple, resonant words. 10 days after the war ended, my sister Laura drove a car off a bridge. They are spoken by Iris Chase Griffin, sole surviving descendant of a once rich and influential Ontario family, whose terse account of her sister's death in 1945 is followed by an inquest report proclaiming the death accidental. But just as the readers expect to settle into Laura's story, Atwood introduces a novel within a novel entitled The Blind Assassin. It is a science fiction story improvised by two unnamed lovers who meet in a dingy back streets rooms. When we return to Iris, it is through a 1947 newspaper article announcing the discovery of a sailboat carrying the dead body of her husband, a distinguished industrialist. What makes this novel Atwood's strongest is the most profoundly entertaining is the way in which the three wonderfully rich stories weave together, gradually revealing through their interplay the secrets surrounding the entire Chase family. So that's really interesting sounding. So it's like a novel within a novel within a story within a story. So it sounds like a lot of confusingness, but I think I'll enjoy it. So I'm going to put that in a to be read pile. And then this one here I picked up at a rummage sale, The House of Sand and Fog. I have heard good things about it. being Oprah's book club, I always take that with a grain of salt. I don't always agree with those things. When something's part of like a book club thing, I wonder, does she even read all of those books? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. But I have heard a lot of good things about this. So when you find something that is a good deal, you always pick it up. So I went ahead and picked that one up. So that'll be in a to be read pile. Same thing happened with The Shack. They made this into a movie. And it was one of the books that was being talked about for potential in my book club, so I thought I would pick it up when I saw it. I think I got it for 25 cents at a rummage sale, so that's going to be in a to be read pile as well. Excuse me. This one here is a memoir, so this one is Summer at Tiffany, and I picked this one up because I really love the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's, and I want to read Breakfast at Tiffany's, which is a Truman Capote book, and I have that in my other room. But this one here, so this says, New York City, 1945, Marjorie Jacobson and her best friend, Marty Garrett, arrive fresh from the Kappa House at the University of Iowa, hoping to find summer positions as shop girls. Turned away from the top department stores, they miraculously find jobs as pages at Tiffany and Company, becoming the first women to ever work on the sales floor, a diamond-filled day job replete with Tiffany blue shirtwaist dresses from Bonwit tellers and the envy of all their friends. So that to me just sounds like a really interesting book, so I wanted to pick that up. I think what I'm going to do is I've actually was interested in maybe the month of my birthday doing all of my favorite things, and being that Breakfast with Tiffany's is one of my favorite things, I was thinking about reading Breakfast with Tiffany's and then this along with it. So that might go into a July TBR. So that'll go into that TBR. And then these two, so if you've heard of Eat, Pray, Love, I've seen the movie, and at the time of the movie, I didn't realize it was a book. And then when I found out it was a book, I found it at a rummage sale or something like that, picked it up. And then later on, I saw this one, which is Eat, Pray, Love Made Me Do It, which was really interesting. So it's written by somebody else. Let me see here. It says life journeys inspired by the best-selling memoir. So it looks like it might be a compilation of other people's stories. Of things they did because of Eat, Pray, Love. So I thought that would be really interesting to read the first memoir by Elizabeth Gilbert, and then jump in and see what she's inspired. So I thought that was really cool. So those are both in my TBR list. Then, as you know, I really like Frederick Backman. My book club last year read A Man Called Uwe, which we adored, really, really enjoyed that book. Currently, this month, my book club is reading Beartown, which is also by Frederick Backman. And then so I also have Britt Marie Was Here. And then my grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry. This one is what I thought was a compilation of short stories, but it looks like it's a novel. I thought it was short stories. There must be another one that is short stories, and I can't remember what that one is. And then Britt Marie Is Here. I started reading this last year, and it was like this character is hilarious. Like, she's so awkward. She almost reminds me of a Eleanor Oliphant. Very similar. So I want to get back into that, but right now I'm currently reading Beartown. So these two will go into my to be read pile, which is getting very, very large, which is ridiculous. But anywho, then I have this series of books. So they are Dearest Dorothy. They all start out with Dearest Dorothy. So it's Dearest Dorothy, Are We There Yet? Then it's Dearest Dorothy, Slow Down, You're Wearing Us Out. Dearest Dorothy, Help, I've Lost Myself. Dearest Dorothy, Who would ever have thought? Dearest Dorothy, Merry Christmas. And then Dearest Dorothy, If Not Now, When? So what these are, they are books about this main character, Dorothy, who's older. I'd say she's probably in her late 70s, and kind of about her life. She's constantly on the run. She's got a little dog that's her like little sidekick, and she's just full of spunk, and you get to follow her and her friendships. And in the first book, really finding out that she really can't live on her own anymore. She really shouldn't be driving, all these kind of things. And then another woman and her son end up coming to this town, this small town, and moving into Dorothy's like old farmhouse and trying to move Dorothy into another home, and the friendship that they kind of build. And then the story just keeps building from there. So there's 6 here. And typically you wouldn't think that this would be something that a young adult would read, because I started reading these when I was like 19 and I freaking loved them. They are so cute, and they're all very small. They're tiny little books, and they're, you know, more Christian oriented. You know, she talks a lot about, you know, being close to God and really appreciating that relationship and spreading that, you know, message to, you know, friends and family. And I really liked these books. I would recommend these to anybody. They're just feel good. They make you think. They make you think about love and friendship and, you know, small towns, and, you know, the fact that no matter how old or young you are, friendships can occur within any age groups and between any age groups. And I really adored these books. They were so good. And I loved all the artwork on them. They're all kind of, you know, old-timey, like sketches. They're all very, very cute little books. So you do have some of the same kind of characters in here, but I really did. I really liked these books a lot. So I had a lot of fun with those. If anyone else, please, 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 please share this video if you need to. If anyone else has read these, I would love to hear what you thought about them. I've never known anyone else to read these, and I really, really would love if someone would talk to me about these books, because I really did love them. So those are in my read pile. Okay. So then we're up to our next shelf here, and we have my Mitch Albom books. So my other book, I have one more book in the other room that I had talked about before, and I don't know why it was in there, because I have usually all of Mitch's books in here. But Tuesdays with Morrie, this is a book about kind of, I read it in a high school class, going through the stages of grief, and it's about him, Mitch Albom. He goes every Tuesday to meet with this elderly man, Morrie, and they kind of just talk about life and, you know, transitioning, but mostly about, you know, grief of dying. You know, you're coming to the end of a lifetime. So that was a very good book. Always highly recommend that. Then we have For One More Day. This book is really interesting. A man is kind of almost like a midlife crisis, and has, I guess, an addiction to alcohol as well, I believe. I can't quite remember. But he is in a car accident, and when he wakes up, it's like a different time and a different day, and his mother is alive again, and he's like spending the whole day with his mother, and it's very interesting. And For One More Day kind of implies, like, what would you do with one more day with someone who's close to you? And it's just really interesting the way that he is interpreting everything, and moves forward from there, and then consequently, you know, changes the way he is when he then is back to where he belongs. So I really liked it. These are always really small books. They're easy to get through. I typically always pick up a Mitch Albom book around the Thanksgiving time, because I feel like his books always make you feel really thankful for the things that you do have. So for no good reason other than that, I always read them around Thanksgiving time. One book that I recently picked up that I haven't yet read, and I think this one is newer, The First Phone Call from Heaven. So I think actually my mom picked this up for me. This one is: one morning in the small town of Coldwater, Michigan, the phones start ringing. The voices say they are calling from heaven. Is it the greatest miracle ever, or some cruel hoax? As the news of the strange calls spread, outsiders flock to Coldwater to be part of it. At the same time, a disgraced pilot named Sully Harding returns to Coldwater from prison to discover his hometown gripped by a miracle fever. Even his young son carries a toy phone, hoping to hear from his mother in heaven. Aww. As the calls increase and proof of the afterlife begins to surface, the town and the world transforms. Only Sully, convinced there is nothing behind this sad life, digs into the phenomenon, determined to disprove it for his child and his own broken heart. Moving seamlessly between the invention of the telephone in 1876 and a world obsessed with the next level of communication, Mitch Albom takes readers on a breathtaking ride of frenzied hope. So that sounds really interesting. This one's a little bit larger than the other ones have been, and it's in a different format. Usually they're in these little hardcover books, and this may very well have been, but I'm interested in reading that one because I really enjoy his reading, and this is a beautiful cover as well. So I would like to read that. So that'll go in my to be read pile. Then I have some of my Christmas books, and you saw many of these when I was doing my Christmas reading. This one I didn't read this year, but this one is called Finding Noelle by Richard Paul Evans. Super sweet book. Most Christmas books are, but this one's really cute. From what I can remember, it's about a young woman who's kind of down and out and doesn't have a lot, and basically finds love during the Christmas time. Very, very good. Very cute. Something to reread for sure. Then we have Debbie Macomber's Mr. Miracle. I did not actually read this one this year. This was one that I think I got most recently, but I love this cover. It's so shimmery and pretty. So I think maybe this Christmas I will. And it looks like soon to be an original movie this holiday season. So this one will go in it to be read maybe this coming Christmas. I don't do a lot of seasonal reading, but... And then when Christmas comes, I think I've read this one. Let me read here. Emily Springer, widowed mother of one, decides to leave her hometown of Leavenworth, Washington, and spend Christmas with her daughter in Boston. Oh, yes, yes. And then Charles Bruce, history professor, seasoned curmudgeon, and resident of Boston, wants to avoid Christmas altogether. And then they end up meeting because Emily, the daughter, ends up not being there or something, so she's there and they meet. I remember reading this one a while back. It was very, very cute. Most of Debbie Macomber's work is. So another Christmas book to add to the pile. So back here are all more Christmas books, and I read all of these this past Christmas, and I can link all the videos above, but we have Dashing Through the Snow. I gave this one really good. I might have even given this 5 stars. I loved this book. It was super, super cute. It's about winning the lottery, scam artist, and of course love during the Christmas holiday. Skipping Christmas, another 5 stars. This one is super hilarious. It's about a family who wants to skip Christmas because their adult daughter is away in Peru, I believe, and they try to avoid it at all costs because they want to go on a cruise, and needless to say, shit hits the fan and they have to get Christmas going, and it's just a hilarious turn of events. It's also made into a movie called Christmas with the Cranks with Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis. Super cute film. Really, really enjoyed that as well. So highly recommend that one. This one here is Merry and Bright. This one was pretty good. I think I gave this one 4 stars. Super cute book. It is about a young temp and her VP of a boss who find themselves through a dating site where they didn't post their pictures. They instead posted pictures of their dogs, and how they kind of come to get to know one another through the dating site, and then how their love continues. Then we have Alaskan Holiday. I really like this one as well. I may have given this 3 or 4 stars, but this one's super cute. The reason why I like this one a lot was it kind of started the story in the middle. We come to find these characters who have already kind of found love, but what pulls them apart is the distance between where they will live, one being in Alaska and one going back to Seattle. So seeing how that runs its course. Very, very good book. Then we have 12 Days of Christmas. I think I gave this one like either a 3 or a 2. It was good. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. I didn't feel a real pull towards any of the characters. None of them really, I didn't really care for them. wasn't a big deal for me. So I think I may have given this a 3 or a 2, but not that great. And then Dashing Through the Snow, I think I gave this a 2. I didn't like this one at all. It was well written and all, but I felt like the entire story was completely unrealistic. I will link my full review above because you don't want me to bitch about this any longer than I already have. Okay, so the next couple books after I pull my little Princess Diana Beanie Baby off my shelf and my little birthday Beanie Baby off the shelf. The majority of all of these books that are left up here are all Nora Roberts and Debbie Macomber. I would say Nora Roberts I was obsessed with for a long while. I really like her writing, and not so much in her single books, but when they're part of a series, I love them. So I'm just going to pull off 2 that are not by those 2 authors and go through them first. So this is all like my romance section. This is the romance section. So all those Christmas books, they're all romance. These are all romance books. So See Jane Date. I got this, I think, for Christmas or something. It's not bad. It wasn't a bad book. It's, follows a, I think she's in her late 20s, kind of career woman, and you kind of see her date. She dates some random people, and then, it's always the person you least expect that you end up with. But there's some hilarious moments in there. I read it pretty quickly. Again, I'm not big into romance novels, especially when there's only like a single book. I like series. So it wasn't bad, but I wouldn't say it was good. And to be quite honest, if I'm going to be good about this, I'm never going to probably read this again. I don't need to keep it. We'll put that in the unhaul pile. But it was quite good. I did enjoy it. But we're trying to be good here, Danny. Then we have this little guy. If This Bed Could Talk, Stories Too Hot to Stay Behind Closed Doors. So I bought this book to read aloud with a certain somebody, and I don't know. I'm feeling very embarrassed. I'm getting very warm because it's just so silly. But I'm going to go ahead and just unhaul this because that's not really my personality right now, and I don't think my fiance would appreciate that anyways, so we'll just unhaul that. I'm going to keep my romance novels to myself. Okay, so let's do this way. We'll talk about all of the Debbie Macomber books first, and then we'll talk about the Nora Roberts last, because that'll make more sense to me. So we'll pull these Debbies out. Now, all of these Debbie Macomber books have been given to me by my mother. She likes to buy me books, and she likes to buy me books that are from an author that I like. So we'll pull all these out. I will tell you right now, I have not read a single one of these books. Just so you know. So we have 6, Rainier Drive. So Debbie usually has books that all kind of go together in like that follows the same characters or follow the same town. So you'll know, you'll probably be more familiar with her Cedar Cove series. That was later made into a show with, I think it's Andy McDowell is the main character in there. I think it's about a judge in a small town called Cedar Cove, and then you follow different characters from there. So I think this is similar, but this is 6 Rainier Drive. Oh, here, this is Cedar Cove right here. So, this doesn't have anything really on it other than that it's part of that series. So this must be part of the Cedar Cove series, and this is the address there. Then we have Married in Seattle. So this one is another Debbie Macomber book. And this one might also be part of that Cedar Cove. I'm not sure, but again, Married in Seattle. Yakima Street, I don't know, 1105. So again, a Cedar Cove novel. Then we have a random one here, The Wyoming Kid. I don't know why I just did that. It's Wyoming. Wyoming? Wyoming. Whatever. Wyoming Kid. Here's a Christmas one, so The Perfect Christmas. And this one has a holiday recipe inside. So this one might be good too. I like the Christmassy ones. And then we have 1225 Christmas Tree Lane. So I'm excited to read that one because I do like the Christmas ones. So again, I think these are all like on your Cedar Cove. So this again, Cedar Cove novel, 1022 Evergreen Place. And then, ooh, this one looks good. Call Me Mrs. Miracle. So remember there's that other one. This one is Mr. Miracle. So then this one's Call Me Mrs. Miracle. So this one might be interesting to read as well. So that'll be another one. These ones look a little bit bigger. So those are good. And then we have Christmas in Cedar Cove. So yes, I know I've gotten all these books and I haven't read them, but I have to tell you, I really do have to be in the mood to read a romance novel, because for those of you who know and have read and will read and do read and whatever for romance novels, they're all the same. They run the same cycle. You have love, you lose love, you get it back, you know, so it's the same kind of thing. So for me, I have to be in the mood to read a book of which I know the path. I know what's going to happen. I know the plot. I know the characters. I know them. They just all have different names and they're in a different place. That's it. So that's why I don't get to those as quickly as I should. It's because I already know how the story is going to go. So how much time do I want to spend doing that? So if I'm like in a lovey-dovey kind of mood and I want to read about that stuff, then I will. So that's why it takes me so long, and that's a really roundabout way of saying that. But anywho. Okay, so now all the books we have left here are all Nora Robert books. They are also all part of series except for one. So I'll pull that one out for us here. And this one I bought randomly at half price books. So this one is Nora Roberts' The Royals of Cordelia. It's Gabriella and Alexander. So these are two tales of palace intrigue and royal romance. Now, as I said before, I usually don't read singlets, but I was in a Nora Roberts slump, which I was reading a lot of Nora Roberts for a long time, and I hadn't read anything for a while, so I was like, I really would like to read something of Nora Roberts, and I saw this, and it being the premise of like royal intrigue and stuff, I had just gotten done reading a different book that had like royals in it, and I can't remember what it was on my e-reader, so I don't have it in hard copy, but I was like, oh, maybe this will be similar. So I picked it up, and I haven't yet read it. I think I started reading it, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to read it anymore. I'm so terrible. So this is going to go on my to be read pile, but that's the one that I have that isn't part of a series. The first series that I have here is actually the series that got me into Nora Roberts, like hardcore. So I got this, I think I was like 19, and I got a gift card to a local bookstore, and I picked up this book called Morgan's Cross, and I read Nora Roberts like only for the rest of that year. Like if I found Nora Roberts, I would eat it up. Like I would, anytime Nora Roberts stuff I would find, I would take it. I love it. But only her series. I don't like when they're singlets. I want to know where the story goes. So in Morgan's Cross, it follows these characters who are kind of time jumpers, I guess you could say. But it's a witch, a vampire, and a wizard, and then a princess sword slayer. So kind of like that fantasy, supernatural kind of effect. So we have Morgan's Cross, which then crosses into the Dances of the Gods, and then Valley of Silence. So it's a trilogy. And let me tell you, it is steamy. It is intriguing. I mean, you always kind of figure out who's going to be paired up. But oh my gosh, like, I can't, like, so there's the witch and the wizard get together, and then there's the like there's two other, they're like really like strong, they're like the strongholds, they're like real powerful and like human-wise. And then The Princess and the Vampire. Oh, it's so good. It's so, so good. So this series, like, my mind with Nora Roberts. I had never heard of her before, and oh, I loved this series. So that was the first series that I picked up from her that I absolutely loved. Then I read the new Key trilogy. So this is Key of Light, and then Key of Knowledge, and then Key of Valor. So this one follows 3 women who have keys to something, and I think this one is like more sorcery. I'm pretty sure that that's what this one follows. I can't quite remember. I can tell you, I would reread any of these books. They're so good. Again, they all follow the same format, but I don't know, there's something about Nora Roberts that I just love. So these books were really good. I want to say it was like something with like really old ancient sorcery that was like being unlocked or something, and these women had the keys to it, like, and the key was not physical, it was something within them. Oh, it's so good. And then I think that after that I read so I am missing books, okay? And I've noticed this a couple of times, and I don't know what happened to them. I think within moving, I may have lost books. But this one, so this is the second book called The Hollow in the Sign of Seven trilogy. These were really good, like super good. I can't remember what the first one was called. Let me see if it'll show me inside here. But this was about... let me see. No, it doesn't have it in here. Oh, wait. Key Trilogy, Garden, Dream, Born, Chesapeake. Okay, so the first one was called Blood Brothers. And so those actually had the men being the main characters. And it was about these 3 men who were in this town where like crazy shit happens. And it was like this dark, devilish sorcerer guy who was like totally, like every 7 years, like shit hit the fan, like blood coming out of like the sockets, and like it was crazy. And then these 3 women come to town, and they pair up or whatever, and they're like witches or something. Oh my gosh, these books were so good, and I'm so pissed off because I don't know where my first and third book is, but these ones, I mean, these ones were freaking fantastic. I loved those ones. Anything with witchery and wizardry, and oh my gosh, and then you put sex in the middle of that. Holy shit, it was so good. Ooh, yeah. Okay, I gotta calm down, Danny. Calm down. Ooh, calm down. Okay, calm down. Okay, so then I read the Garden Trilogy, which I have the first 2 books and seemingly lost the third one. But the first one's Blue Dahlia, and then this one's Black Rose. And then the third one is some other flower. But this one was really good. This one was more on the paranormal side. So the characters end up at this one house, and one is the person that owns the house and a greenhouse, and then one of them works there, and then another one ends up coming and being related to someone somehow, and you follow, and then they of course pair up. What I liked about this one, it had 3 different age groups really. So you had one that was like more of your like late 20s to early 30s, and then you had one that was more in her late 50s to early 60s, and then the third one was like in her early 20s, and pregnant. She came pregnant. But it was so good. And there was a ghost in the house, and you're kind of following like what happened, like what the ghost, and then you like get a lot of backstory. Those ones were really good. I like those ones a lot. But I don't know, somehow, so I'm missing 3 books right there. I don't know where those books would have gone. But, so then I have a couple left here. So these ones are the Gallagher's of Ardmore trilogy. So then later it's called the Irish trilogy. So they must have changed it because no one can say that out loud. So we have Jewels of the Sun, Tears of the Moon, and then Heart of the Sea. And this one probably came before a lot of the ones I already discussed. But these ones were good because they were based in Ireland, which I really love. And then since I have now gone to Ireland, not before reading these, but these are really good. And this follows, there's like some kind of magical legend attached to these people. So this one actually has something on the back. Let me see. Is this the first one? No, that's the conclusion. The first one doesn't have a thing I can read you. So the Tears of the Moon one says, a talented songwriter, Sean Gallagher, spends his days lost in the reverie and wonder, oblivious to the wiles of women and the ways of the world. He claims that he's content with his life, but his music tells a different story, one of loneliness and desperate longing. No one understands why Sean doesn't put his musical gift to profitable use, least of all Brenna O'Toole, a fiercely independent tomboy who has been secretly in love with him for years. But it is only when Sean gives in to the mysteries of magic that he gets the chance to fulfill his destiny as a man and a musician, as long as a song in his head keeps time with the beating of a woman's heart. So, if I remember correctly, something is amiss. And in the first book, an American comes to Ireland because she's inherited a house, and then she ends up with somebody, and then through that, she becomes friends with these other people, and then they ended up pairing off too. But there's some kind of like really ancient something, but this one is like sorcery again as well. So lots of magic in these books. Then I have here the Three Sisters trilogy. So we have Dance Upon the Air, Face the Fire, and then Heaven and Earth. And oh no, so Heaven and Earth was the second one. I'm sorry. So Dance Upon the Air, Heaven and Earth, and Face the Fire. This one, again, witches. So more of the supernatural, but this was crazy because one of them is like a person who is running from something. So the other two are friends and they know that they're witches, and this third one doesn't know. And she's running from something, so they don't know if they can trust her, and they're trying to figure it out, and she doesn't know if she can trust them, obviously because she's running from something, and this something that she's running from is crazy mother effer. So it's really crazy. It's about friendship and love, and obviously they all pair up with some dude, and it's really hot and heavy, and of course all of these are hot and heavy. I mean, it's Nora Roberts, but really good series as well. And then we have this one, which this was actually a quartet. So it starts with this. So this is the Bride Quartet, and this is Vision in White is the first one. And then we have this one, which is Bed of Roses is the second one. And then we have Savor the Moment is the third one. And then I don't actually have the fourth one because I actually got these all on my e-reader and read them that way. And then so I've been slowly accumulating the actual hardbacks because I really enjoyed this series. So this series is about 4 women who own like a wedding business. So the first book is about the redheaded photographer. I remember she was redheaded for some reason. But yeah, so she's the photographer of the business. Then we have the floral, so the one responsible for floral. Then the third one is about the one who makes the cakes. She's the caterer. And then the fourth one that I don't have, she's the one that runs everything. So she's the organizer. She makes everyone on task, all of that kind of thing. So you follow them. They have this big, big home that they actually have the weddings at. They all live there, except I think for one of them doesn't actually live on the estate. But I mean, it was really good. I liked it not only because it was a series, but it was actually 4 instead of 3, which I really enjoyed. And it's based in, regular time. This one actually doesn't have any like weird, supernatural, nothing like that. It's just a story about these women who own a business, and this one would be interesting. I don't know, maybe when it gets closer to my wedding, I might want to reread those, but those would be really good. And then the last one I have on my shelf here is a trilogy. It's the Cousins O'Dwyer trilogy. And I might have mixed this one up with the Jewels of the Sun, but I think, no, I think that's the same. So this one again, so the first one's called Dark Witch, and this is one of her newer ones. So Dark Witch is the first one, and then Shadow Spell is the second one, and then Blood Magic is the third one. So this one follows, so I believe this is in Ireland again, and again, American comes, who is a cousin of these people, and she's a witch, and they're witches, and they're kind of discovering that, and they're trying to help train her because there's this sorcerer guy who is after them, and he like is trying to breed with their bloodline, which I think he accomplished back like several hundred years ago, and they're trying to discover how to defeat him. And he's not quite a corporal being. He terrorizes them through like animals and stuff. So it's really intriguing. I've read the first one so far, and right now I'm to the second one, but I've taken a break from that. But I do like those books. They're quite fascinating. I love witches and wizards and sorcery and all that fun stuff. I also love the landscape of Ireland, so I really like that as well. So clearly I have a ton of Nora Roberts books, but really adore her writing, and I love reading all of that stuff. So I'm going to be able to mash all of these up into one room, which I'm excited about. I would love to have all of my books in one room. This will also clear some space up in my bedroom, which would be nice. But yeah, you know how it goes, guys. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. If you've been here this whole time, rock star status, yeah. I love for you to tell your friends about me and see if they would like to subscribe as well. But you know the drill, guys. Till next time, happy reading. Bye!